Go down, since we have a member in the room, we're going to go down to Representative Schwiebert's bill, House HCR 2037.
I'm getting there, sir.
We tried.
Mr. Chair, I move that House Concurrent Resolution 2037 be returned with a due pass recommendation.
All right. Staff, please explain the bill.
Mr. Chairman and members, House Concurrent Resolution 2037 recognizes April 1st, 2023 as Assyrian New Year. With that, I'm available for questions.
Any questions for staff? All right.
Yeah,
Hang
sure.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have we done this before?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Payne, from my knowledge, we have not done this before. However, in the U.S. House of Representatives, Representative Harder in 2021 introduced a bill to recognize the Assyrian New Year. However, it was held in the Foreign Affairs Committee.
Thank you.
All right. The bill sponsor's here. Welcome.
Thank you, Chairman Dunn. Representative Judy Schwiebert, for the record. I am really proud to introduce this bill to create a resolution celebrating the Assyrian New Year. Perhaps, like me, you remember the Assyrians as people from Bible stories. They were indeed an ancient people who lived in Mesopotamia in the delta between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Now, where we find Iraq, Turkey, Iran, and Syria on a map. The history of the nation of Assyria and the Assyrians encompasses thousands of years. As one of the earliest peoples, they were inventors of the wheel and the first written alphabet. Later, they were among the earliest Christians and continue to be so in what is called the Church of the East. In modern times, beginning in 1914, hundreds of thousands of Assyrians were slaughtered in a genocide known as the Sepho. The resulting diaspora spread their people all over the world. Tens of thousands of Assyrians now call Arizona their home. In recent years, to Mr. Payne's point, my seatmate, actually Representative Wilmoth, commemorated Assyrians and the Assyrian New Year with a proclamation in the State House. This year, I was honored to be asked to introduce this bipartisan resolution to recognize their new year of 6,773 as it approaches on April 1st. In both the Arizona House and Senate, it marks the beginning of a new year, the beginning of spring, a fresh start. Many of you have Assyrian American constituents in your districts, so I'm pleased to be joined by 44 other state representatives and senators as co-sponsors. As Democrats and Republicans, we often find ourselves at odds, so I'm really pleased to sponsor this opportunity to come together to honor our Assyrian neighbors and their many contributions historically as well as today to the richness of our lives together. I hope that you will vote yes on this resolution, but I have 3 speakers here who would like to have an opportunity to address this committee as well.
All right. Thank you. Any questions? All right.
First up, Ninorta Caso. Did I butcher that?
No, you said it perfectly. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Ninor Takeso, and I'm the president of the Assyrian American Cultural Organization of Arizona. On behalf of myself, the AACO Executive Committee, and its members, we thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to be here today. The Assyrian New Year Resolution, HCR 2037, calls for recognition as April 1st as the Assyrian New Year. The Assyrian New Year dates back over 6,773 years to the cradle of civilization in Mesopotamia, in what today is Turkey, Iraq, Iran, and Syria. There are over 600,000 Assyrians in the U.S., including tens of thousands in Arizona. And in the span of a few weeks, we received over 343 signed petitions from community members in support of HCR 2037. The Assyrian New Year symbolizes a time of rebirth, spring, and renewal, and is one of the most revered traditions in modern and ancient Assyrian history. It is celebrated for 12 days, concluding on April 1st, where Assyrians around the world host large celebrations, family gatherings, parades, and festivals. The Assyrian people have faced hundreds of years of genocide and exodus from their homelands. Despite these challenges, Assyrians globally continue to observe their New Year traditions. This resolution affirms their resilience and perseverance throughout history, brings recognition to the oldest celebration in history, and legitimizes Assyrians as a distinct group with cultural traditions in the state of Arizona. The Assyrian American Cultural Organization of Arizona and other community organizations worked tirelessly to introduce this resolution, which calls for the official recognition and commemoration of the Assyrian New Year. Furthermore, this resolution requests the Assembly of the State of Arizona to recognize April 1st as the Assyrian New Year. The success of this legislation is paramount to the Assyrian American community and us. As such, it's essential that you join the coalition supporting the Assyrian New Year resolution. And
30 seconds, ma'am. 30 seconds.
And encourage you to vote in favor of it. We are confident that your backing will assist us in achieving success. I appreciate your consideration for HCR 2037, and thank you for your time.
Questions of the speaker. We're to questions of the speaker.
All right. Any more? Any of you guys have any questions? Sorry, I had to step out. But
It's okay.
no question. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Next up, Dr. Nareen Bet Udadem.
You did butcher that one, but that's okay.
Okay, I tried, man. I tried. You have 2 minutes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Naharin Bityonadem. I'm the inaugural presidential postdoctoral fellow at the University of Arizona. I, like my colleagues, stand here to express my support for HCR 2037, the recognition of the Assyrian New Year. How many of us struggle explaining our ethnic and native identities? I have spent most of my life having to explain who Assyrians are and who Assyrians are not. I've had countless conversations about how Assyrians are not Syrians, we are not Kurds, we are not Turks, not Arabs, and not Persians. Assyrians are the indigenous people of Mesopotamia, the birthplace of civilization, and we have our own language, heritage, and history. The violence, instability, and intolerance towards the indigenous and minority communities in the Middle East has forced many Assyrians to find a new place to call home. It's actually how I find myself here in Phoenix, Arizona. My grandparents escaped genocide by the Ottoman Turks and found refuge in Iraq. My parents left Iraq as Iraq became more intolerant towards non-Arab communities. They immigrated to the United States, my mother a laborer, my father a public educator, and then when they retired, they chose Phoenix, Arizona, just north of 67 and Happy Valley, to settle down. And as is customary in my culture, children stay close to parents as parents age, which is how I find myself here in Arizona, a place where I and tens of thousands of other Assyrians now call home. This resolution at its core is so much more than just a recognition of a holiday celebrated by the indigenous communities in Iraq and the greater Middle East. It lets this distinct group in Arizona know that despite all they've been through to be able to celebrate their indigenous identity freely, they are now seen, they are now heard, and they are now celebrated. The main point I want to make today is that the recognition of the Assyrian New Year by the Arizona State Legislature legitimizes Assyrian Americans as a distinct group with a cultural heritage that makes up the fabric of Arizona's communities. And what better place to pass this resolution than in Arizona, a state that already recognizes and supports its own Native and Indigenous communities and histories. So the passage of this legislation will send a strong signal that this legislature not only recognizes its own Indigenous people, but it stands for Indigenous communities around the world. Thank you for your time and for your consideration.
Well done.
All right. Any questions for the speaker?
No?
Thank you for being here.
Perfect
Thank you
timing.
for having us.
Perfect timing. Next on the list, I'll apologize in advance. Ramina Joju Findrick.
Yes, close enough.
Okay, thank you. 2
Mr.
minutes.
Chair, members of the committee, my name is Ramina Jaju-Friendrich. I'm a retired rheumatologist and also chair of the SAFO Center Arizona chapter. SAFO Center is also known as the Assyrian Genocide Research Center, which is a global organization that focuses on raising awareness on all matters pertaining to genocides perpetrated against the Assyrians. After living in Boston, I moved to Phoenix in 2004. And since being involved with the SAFO Center, I did a 2-year research on the community in Arizona, and I'd like to share some of that information with you. There are approximately 5 million Assyrians left in the world due to mass persecution in Middle East and some as recent as ISIS invasion. Most have resettled in Europe, Australia, Canada, and the US, with US having the largest resettlement population. Migration to Arizona started in the mid-1970s, and it's been growing exponentially. And we have migration from other countries, but also from California, Illinois, Michigan, where the majority of the Assyrians reside. Most of the Assyrians tend to congregate near their families and churches. We have 6 churches. And the biggest population is actually in Glendale, North Phoenix, and Peoria, and then followed by Surprise, Gilbert, Scottsdale, and Tucson. Arizona's population is actually estimated to be around 20,000, but I would caution you using census numbers because we know that minorities are very difficult communities to count. Despite all the hardships, an overwhelming majority have become entrepreneurs, and this I can tell you from my own experience. They have set up law practices. In fact, some of my own medical students are setting up law practices. Medical students are setting up medical practices. There are law firms, accounting firms, construction companies, hospitality services such as banquet halls, restaurants, grocery stores, catering services, and home care services. A lot of the Assyrians that are born and raised in Arizona attend local and state colleges, with most of them actually going on to getting their graduate degrees as well. So this is a community that is very hardworking, and they contribute to the local economy. In fact, the Assyrian American National Federation, which is a federation of 17 organizations in U.S., have been holding their annual convention here in Arizona for the past several years. And this past year, the cultural organization held the Assyrian New Year Festival at Peoria Sports Complex with almost 4,000 attendees. With that, I'm in support of this resolution, and I thank you for your kind consideration.
Great. Members, any questions? Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Is anybody else signed in?
That is the last
That's
one.
everybody. Any closing comments?
Just thank you so much for your time and attention. I'm really proud to represent this community within my own district and around the state, and urge you to vote yes. Thank you.
All right. Any more discussion? Mr. Payne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Weaver, yes, please come back up. I'm Welsh.
All right.
I don't know that we celebrate Welsh's New Year or birthday or whatever we're doing here, Assyrian New Year, Welsh New Year. I don't think we do that.
Have
Are we
you,
going to run a bill for that next?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Payne, have you requested such a proclamation?
I just did.
Okay. Well, I'll look for that next year.
Next year.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Payne, the Irish will happily adopt you on the 17th of March. I extend that invitation personally.
That's right. All right. All right, thank you. All right, members, the motion before you is that HCR 2037 receive a due pass recommendation. Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Bravo?
Aye.
Representative Hernandez?
Aye.
Representative Jones?
Pass.
Representative Longden?
Aye.
Representative Montenegro?
Mr. Chairman, briefly
Please.
explain my vote. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the individuals, the doctors that have been here to, and the sponsor for the sentiment of the bill. I always, personally, in how I vote, I always try to make sure that you know, as Americans, we're not trying to single one segment of society or one culture over the other. And so when it comes to a bill like, well, let me rephrase that. When it comes to a vote like this, I really do go in my heart through what it is that I'm voting on. This is an HCR. It's a resolution. So I don't feel that I'm passing a law that is necessarily highlighting one culture over the other. So it's a resolution. And I think that we do celebrate folks from different places on earth. So, but with that, again, it's a resolution. So it does bring that level of comfort as well. So with that, I vote aye.
Representative Payne.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, please.
thank you. For all the reasons that Mr. Montenegro just elaborated on, I agree with, and I will also vote aye.
Representative Peshlikai.
Pass.
Representative Jones.
Mr. Chair,
Please.
I think Representative Montenegro, or was it it was Representative Payne, I apologize, just brought up some of my concerns that if we separate people out and have a day for everybody, I'm not sure. I don't like that personally. But I am going to agree with both Representative Payne and Representative Montenegro. Since this is an HCR, I will be an aye for today.
Representative Peshlikai.
Pass.
You already passed once, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Vice Chairman Gillette.
Explain my vote, Mr. Chair.
Please.
This was difficult. I was a hard no on this when I read this. Because it is a resolution, and I thank you, Representative, for bringing that to my attention. I thought about this. My family escaped the Soviet Union and are proud Americans. My grandmother did want nothing to do with the tribalization of the United States. She felt once arriving here, she was an American and an American for life, and put the old ways aside. I do understand the difference between the law and the resolution. And I have been to your former homeland as a United States soldier, and it was mentioned that you quite possibly invented the wheel. The clock wasn't mentioned. I thought that would be something of great importance as well, but apparently the Assyrian people made one of the first working timepieces that is now displayed in the National Archives. But I went from a hard no to a yes because it is a resolution. We should welcome everyone, recognize everyone, but we all should assimilate and put the tribalization away. So I will vote yes.
Chairman Dunn.
I'll explain my vote. Thanks for being here to testify. I agree with the comments that we've just been made. When I was researching to put this on the agenda, when you look through the amount of co-sponsors and the work that Representative Schwiebert did to get leaderships on both sides of the aisle and folks to sign on to the bill itself was a compelling factor for me to move it forward. And so, and for all these reasons stated, I'll vote aye. All right, members, by your vote of 9 ayes, 0 nays, and everybody voting, you've given HCR 2037 a due pass recommendation.